Hello and welcome to Weekly MTG. I'm your host, Blake Rasmussen, and if you were here last week, you might have been expecting me to sit next to somebody. Ken Troop, we had talked about having him on the show last week. Unfortunately, he had to step away today, so we weren't able to pull him in. We do have him scheduled for early next year, so we're going to have him back on the show to answer all those questions that we talked about last week. But in the meantime, it is December. We've got 2 shows left in the year, which means it's that time of the year where I just kind of do what I want to do because no one's paying attention. And so we're going to do something I love doing, my favorite show. We're going to open up some packs. We're going to open up some collector boosters, probably some play boosters for Avatar: The Last Airbender. Also, if you're one of the 5 people who were paying attention, the day after my birthday, I canceled the show. And that was going to be the show where we open packs, and I didn't get to do that, and I love doing that. So it's December, so I'm going to do that. We're going to talk about next week's show in a moment. That is also a Blake wants to do this, and so he pulled a bunch of strings to get that going. But we're going to talk about that in a second. Before we get to that, let's talk about some other news. So early bird badges for MagicCon Las Vegas are on sale now. Now, we are sold out of the Black Lotus VIP badges and the Mythic Bundle. Those went pretty quick, but we still got plenty of other badges left. If you head to mcvegas.mtgfestivals.com to learn more about the show, I'm going to be there in Vegas. You should be too. Early bird pricing is going to be available until 10 a.m. Pacific time, Monday, December 8th. That would be next Monday, or while supplies last. Like I said, the Black Lotus VIP and Mythic Bundle badges went pretty quick, so we'll see how long the rest of the badges last. But definitely come to Vegas May 1st through 3rd. All right, now I also wanted to spend some time talking about some upcoming dates. We're about to hit the holidays. People are going to start disappearing, and we're not going to be around, and we want to make sure that you know what is coming up. So, this weekend, December 5th through 7th, we have the Magic the Gathering World Championship, featuring the best players from around the world who have qualified in this past year, all battling together in the Seattle area to claim the title of World Champion. That is happening this weekend. It's going to be on twitch.tv. We're going to have more info on that in a moment. Next week, so this is the Weekly MTG show I have been alluding to. We are going to do the Marvel Superheroes prologue from the Command Zone with Rachel Weeks and a special guest that we will unveil as we get closer. But I am, again, this is the Blake Does What He Wants in December. I am actually traveling to the Command Zone studios next week. We are going to do Weekly MTG live from their studios, and because I am incredibly excited about Marvel Superheroes next year, it's a bit early, but I decided I want to show off some cards. So we're going to do that next week with the Command Zone crew, December 9th, same time, same channel, so twitch.tv/magic, same time, but we're going to hang out with the Command Zone, do that from there, and show off a ton of cool cards. Then we're going to take a break. Weekly MTG is going to go away for the holidays and then come back in January. So January 5th, that's a Monday, is the Lorwyn Eclipsed debut. I know a lot of you are looking forward to this set. I am as well. I loved the original Lorwyn and Shadowmoor blocks, and this brings all the feels from that with some modern game design. We've already showed off some cards at the first look at the last MagicCon. The debut is going to start showing all that off. Now, that's going to be a sort of different preview season because it's right after the holiday. It is going to be a 1-week preview season with most of the previews concentrated on videos that we are having made. So that's going to be happening that week, the 5th through the 9th. Lorwyn Eclipse pre-releases then start January 16th. Followed by the global release on January 23rd, followed again on January 30th through February 1st That's where we have Pro Tour Richmond. So this is a Pro Tour. There's not a Magicon attached to this one or vice versa, a Pro Tour attached to a Magicon. This is a standalone Pro Tour happening in Richmond at the end of January. And of course, all of the broadcast details for that will become available. Let's go back to talking about that World Championship. So this is the broadcast schedule happening this weekend, the 5th and the 6th and the 7th. The 5th and the 6th will start at 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern time, 4 a.m. JST. And then it's going to start an hour earlier on the 7th. Day 1 is going to be draft and standard constructed. If you have been paying attention to standard since Avatar released, the entire format has been flipped on its head. Of course, the banned and restricted announcement had quite a bit to do with that. There is a ton out there. We are going to learn a lot about what this format has to hold at the World Championship. A bunch of players are going to be bringing their absolute A-plus game. Day 2 will also be draft and standard constructed. And then day 3 will be standard constructed top 8. Wow. Standard constructed top 8 single elimination. That is coming this weekend. We have a crack broadcast team, a bunch of faces you're going to recognize because they're awesome. This crew, every one of them has been doing this Pro Tour shtick for a while. You love them. They're going to be here. They're going to be broadcasting the whole weekend. So make sure you tune in on twitch.tv/magic this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. All right, let's head back to some packs. So one of the things we will do, we're going to start with collector boosters because they're great and they're fun and they're awesome. But we are going to open some play boosters. Draft is a big component of the World Championship this weekend. I have been doing a ton of Avatar The Last Airbender drafts myself. So we'll do some pack 1 pick ones and we'll talk about draft archetypes and top commons and all that sort of thing. So yeah, additionally, great call out Untapped deck. We've also got the Lorwyn Eclipse story coming up in December. That's actually going to happen ahead of previews in February. All right. Start cracking these packs. When will we find out the formats for the RCQ? I think that it's not happening at Worlds, I believe. I don't have it off the top of my head, but I believe it's sometime in early 2026. All right, where are we? Okay. All right, so we got some commons. We got an Ostrich Horde, Treetop Freedom Fighters, Airship Engine Room, Combustion Technique, which is making its way into Standard. So there are some attempts to make lessons work in Standard that I've seen. All right, so these are, you'll get some TLE cards in these boosters, so things from Jumpstart, the Beginner Box, that sort of deal. That's going to come in this slot here. Oh, then you're going to get one of these lands, Momo, right down there. Double Face Nature gives it away, but we got an Avatar Aang for our main set non-booster fun foil. So normal treatment. We got that. Then we're going to go into another foil rare from TLE. And then we're going to have an extended non-foil rare, Bossing Sea. This card is also seeing some standard play and is absolutely a house in Limited. Blasphemous Act here is our source material card. And then Boomy Unleashed. See, if you saw the Command Zone episode of Avatar The Last Airbender, Boomy did some work. All right. When will we get something about Lorwyn Eclipsed cards, archetypes, etc.? So there are, if you are jonesing for Lorwyn Eclipsed, there is a card image gallery up already that has a number of cards from the first look. That is available on dailymtg.com already, so there are some cards to check out. Otherwise, we are going to hit previews for that starting January 5th. Yeah, one untapped deck just said. All right, let's go through some of these commons, some uncommons. Team Avatar, another Really powerful card in draft. All right. Let me get some of those. Crashing Wave. So this slot, you can also get some scene cards. So Crashing Wave is one of those scene cards here. And we've got another land. You can check out. And then we get Momo Friendly Flyer, followed by Crystalline Armor. And then Soka, Bold Boomeranger. And then we're going to get Release to Memory for our source material card. And then we've got the Legend of Kyoshi, if that wasn't given away from the backside, Avatar Kyoshi. I've not had the good fortune of getting this saga in draft yet, but obviously, if you open it, you should take it. Yeah, this Momo is actually pretty solid. I've been playing a lot of Standard, I've been playing a lot of Draft. I've played against a number of Momo decks, actually both Momos. There was a blue-white Flyers list I played against that was utilizing both Momos. The uncommon one that when it leaves play, you get to do some stuff. The reason for that blue-white flying deck was this card right here, actually. Perfect timing. Air Nomad's Legacy. All right. Sensor. Toucan Puffin. Feast Lecture. We got another Momo Island. Get that in frame here. Redirect Lightning. Fire Nation Salvagers. That TLE slot. Great Divide Guide. Card is very good. I actually had a draft this morning where Great Divide Guide let them cast 4-color Aang. We got a lifelong friendship here. I did win that one though. Ooh, nice. And then Fire Lord Azula. Beautiful card. All right, let's keep going. Alright, I'm a huge fan of Ikoria and the whole Bonder and Mutate shtick. I'm afraid I will never see a return to Ikoria unless we get a fix for both Mutate and Companion, because you would try to do them justice. Do you have an example of such things of prior sets where an upcoming return to X got further delayed because you couldn't nail a mechanic? So I don't have any examples off the top of my head of anything that specific. But I think the kind of gold standard for a set we didn't think we'd return to, but then we did, and it went really well, is Kamigawa. So we went to Kamigawa quite some time ago, and the set was the block was fine. It had some problems. I really enjoyed it because I played around that time, and I played a lot of Gifts Ungiven. But it had some problems with Arcane, Splice onto Arcane, that sort of thing. Here's Ozai the Phoenix King. Overall, it was kind of a weak set. It wasn't a high point, but people loved the setting, loved the vibe, and so we came back with Neo Kamigawa a long time later. And, ooh, Sokka's Charge, nice. Allies, double striking lightning. And it went over really well. So I think, Ikoria is not off the table by any stretch of the imagination. Sunbaked Canyon, that's a great one. This is not foil. So yeah, will we ever return to Ikoria? I think it's possible. I don't know where. I know Mark Rosewater has his scale. I don't know where Ikoria sits on that scale. But if there was a reason, if there was... if the designers find a way to fit it, yeah, absolutely. We could return there. Yeah, and Neon Dynasty proved that, we can take a plane where maybe the execution wasn't exactly what we would have hoped, and we can turn it into something awesome. So, all you Homelands fans out there, there's still hope. All right. Fire Nation Cadets, secretly pretty saucy in draft. We got some Flopsy, Dragonfly Swarm, Frantic Search. Obviously that card's pretty busted. All right, we got a Plains here. We got My Scornful Striker. Raphaelis is legal and timeless, but Arena thinks it's banned. Can you tell the Arena team? I can ask them. All right. Bear Spirit. Shrines. I think we're here. And then, ooh, Foil Mystic Remora. I love this. I love this art. I love how well it fits with the original. Sometimes it's just like the perfect pairing. And that Foil Mystic Remora is pretty great. And then, I give Kyoshi Island. Card is also very strong, and I love the field notes here. Return to Homelands, maybe. You know what? I think there's something there. It's not my area of expertise, and I've been playing a long time, so I don't know if I'd call them fond memories of Homelands, but like I was in an era where Autumn Willow and Baron Sengir were like peak. They weren't good even then. I mean, Autumn Willow saw some tournament play, but they were just really cool. More of the lands. These lands are gorgeous. And I love that they feel like you're taking a trip. It's Iceberg. Homelands had some great flavor behind it. A lot of flavor. It was the cards that were lacking. I had a Baron Sengir. Ooh, Standstill. Nice. I don't think I've ever owned a Standstill before. Oddly enough. Maybe I have. And Foil Fancy. We've got Ahsoka. Boom. Bold Boomeranger. Speaking of boomerangs, Boomerang Basics is quickly becoming one of my favorite cards in the new set. Thought maybe we'd turn over. Oh wait, no, it's an uncommon. So it would be here if we opened it. I don't have that power. All right. Fair enough. I summoned the flying enchantment earlier, and Airbender Ascension. If you watched me play Standard the other week, I played a deck with Airbender. I'm really liking this card. I'm playing it in the sort of Aang Appa combo deck, and it's a nice little way to help win more fair games. Obviously, there are the games you combo off, but there's a lot of removal out there. The deck is strong, but this lets you play more fair games and do things like blink some of your comes into play, please. Got a Fire Nation Tank Train here. And then Foil Fancy, Moon Spirit. Yeah, I don't think we're going to reprint Boomer, certainly not in a standard legal set. I could see us putting it in, I don't know, some sort of supplemental set. 2 mana to bounce, it's weird, but it's the part that you can bounce a land that prevents us from just straight up reprinting Boomerang. There are lots of variations that let you do non-basic lands. Iroh's Demonstration, seen that in a standard deck. This set has had a lot of hits for standard. And I know a lot of it is people just trying things out as they get used to the new environment. But a lot of it has seemed really viable. We're getting a lot of bold boomerangers here. Got a Master's Guidance. Chakra Meditation. I really like that card. Jasmine Dragon Tea Shop. By the way, in draft, you should be playing this card whether you're allies or not. Just making a 1/1 ally every once in a while. Super helpful. Final Fantasy had its turn. Time for Dragon Quest. All right, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I've done so many drafts. I've yet to draft a Shrine deck. I got trounced by a 5-color Shrine deck one match, but I have yet to actually draft one. It's on my list. Gotta get a lot of uncommons. 10-20. Earthbender's Ascension. Jung and Lily Nomads, and then we got the Scene, Swift Savior. Again, this or Boomerang Basics might be the most played cards in Standard for good reason from this set. Hard to say for sure. We've got a Rending Volley, and Foil Fancy is Tylee G-Locker. All right. Almost through this box, and then we're going to do some play boosters to talk about draft. The Bant Airbending deck is, and there's a couple different flavors. So again, if you watch the stream from last week, so there is a version that goes heavy on mana accelerants. So like Llanowar Elves, Jean, I forget its name, the other 1-drop 1/2. And tries to power out the combo quickly. I prefer the version that's a little more controlling, still has the combo, but play things like Avatar's Wrath, which lets you reset the board. You play the Airbending Ascension, and you play a little bit more of a controlling game until you combo off. And it's still got the ability to combo off fast. It just doesn't have the turn 3 combo capability. I think it can, hypothetically, with the right hits, but generally not. We got Earthshape. Then we got Heroic Intervention. Then we got Obsessive Pursuit. Well, I mean, the cool thing about Avatar's Wrath in that deck is you do get to play things like Aven, I'm drawing a blank on the last part of the name, the one that makes, that plots a spell and then makes cards cast from anywhere other than the hand cost 2 more. So you can Avatar's Wrath, they can't cast it the next turn, and then you can get the Aven into play, make everything even more expensive to get into play. You can really gum up all the works. What happens with these? This is probably the most Aven Interceptor, thank you. It's probably the most popular question I get. What happens to all these cards? I keep some of them, I give some of them to my team, hand them out, that sort of thing. We keep them around the office. All right, we got a Momo Plains, gorgeous. Earthbending Student, no, you know what? I got asked about that last week and I did not follow up on it. So that is my bad. Thank you for the reminder. Makes you tongue all knowing. This is not the bird spirit I want. Tail and Guitar and Tough. We've got Insurrection. And Toph, the first Metal Ender. The very first Avatar draft I did, I drafted, not kidding, 2 of these, and not 1, not 2, but 3 of the, oh God, I always mix up the order of the words. Day of the Black Sun, the Black Sweeper. That card's really good right now too. If you're worried about Llanowar Elves and Badger Mole Cubs and all that sort of stuff, card's very good. All right, we got some of these. We got Deer Dog, Cloud Shift, Scarring Memories. A Momo Swamp. Hanging out there on the left. Spirit Water Revival. This card is, here's my Canadian Highlander reference. This card's very strong in Canadian Highlander. It is a one-sided draw 7. My current draft deck has a Spirit Water Revival in it. I've only played one game, though, and have not cast it, so I don't know if it's good. Now, Ran and Shaw, this card, do not pass this in draft. Also great. There it is, Force and Negation. Got one of those. And the Machinist, Aerial Artisan. Yeah, don't sleep on this card either. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create a clue token. That can do a lot of cool things. Canadian Highlander, yes, possible. But Commander, anywhere where you want, where you're casting on a non-creature spells and want artifacts. And even then. All right, we're going to set these aside. The remove abilities. Now, if you want Earthbent lands to not return, you need to play Ultima, because that ends the turn, and the return of the lands is a trigger. So Ultima will do it. Ultima's often just a little bit slow, but what I have found to work really well, you can't use Boomerang Basics for this, but both Bounce Off and, again, I'm so bad with card names these days. The one from Bloomborough where you can gift a fish to bounce a non-land permanent, or you can bounce a creature. Anyway, there's 2 bounce spells that will bounce a creature instead of a non-land permanent. And those work really well against the mole because they can bounce the land, which sets them back not only the land, but it takes away them having a creature that makes extra mana. Into the Flood Moth. Thank you. It's a super common card. I'm terrible with names. I'm getting old. Yeah, Summon Leviathan. Again, it's a little bit slow, but Ultima will often wreck those decks. There's a lot of green decks playing a lot of low-to-the-ground creatures. Now, you can't wait till turn 5 to Ultima because you will just die to those kind of earthbending decks, but if you can stall out a little bit, then you'll get there. All right, so let's talk draft. Let's move that out of my lighting. All right, we'll go over here. All right, we got Meditation Pools, Fire Sages. I'm going backwards, apparently. That's fine. Abandoned Air Temple, probably going to be the pick because that card is ridiculous. Otter Penguin, Azula Always Lies, Treetop Freedom Fighters, Rocky Rebuke, Curious Farm Animals, Waterbending Lesson, and Beetle-Headed Merchants. All right, so we'll talk a little bit about draft. Again, draft is going to be a big component of the World Championship this weekend, so knowing draft is going to clue you into a lot of what is happening over the weekend. So here, Abandoned Air Temple, pretty clearly the pick. The coming into play, tapped unless you control a basic land. That's just always going to happen in draft. The +1/+1 counters, you can do it at instant speed. It doesn't matter if you go wide. Like this card, it requires you to play white mana. That's it. Every deck pretty much has creatures putting +1/+1 counters on a board stall or just making blocks really awkward. Yeah, Abandoned Air Temple is certainly the pick. So, after that, what are the strong cards? So if, let's say, Abandoned Air Temple was taken first, this is our second pick. So, Airbender's Reversal is a very strong lesson. So, it can destroy an attacking creature, airbend a creature you control, all for 2 mana. Adds to the lesson count if you need that. Just a really generally powerful card, so you'll pretty much always take that. Rocky Rebuke is strong. I think it's probably a step below Airbender's Reversal. It's a little, obviously if you have a creature in play, it's a little more applicable to take out blockers and that sort of thing. But I generally think the flexibility and the lesson status of Airbender's Reversal makes it a little bit better. And then Serpent of the Pass is pretty strong. There's a strong blue-red Lessons deck that this is a really good finisher / surprise creature in. So those are kind of the top cards. Buzzard Wasp Colony is very strong in sacrifice decks, obviously. Long Feng is a pretty solid pick. A little down the line, I wouldn't take it first, certainly not over any of these. Waterbending Lesson's fine. Zul Always Lies is fine. Fire Sages is actually also pretty strong. I wouldn't take it this early, but it is a card I am not unhappy to have in a deck. It does a lot for 2-drop. The Earthbending Student, yeah, I forgot to check into that. That's on me. I need to look into that. Thank you, Bill. Is there a way to stop lands from becoming creatures? So from Earthbending. So in draft, no, there's not. The trigger will happen. In constructed, there are a number of ways. So you've got Tidebinder to counter the trigger. You can counter the initial spell. There are a number of ways. It's generally speaking, when someone casts something that's earthbending, they will get to do so. All right. So so it's not as obvious a pick as the last pack. There's a couple options here. So one, Earth King's Lieutenant. Very strong card. You're going to want to draft a lot of allies, obviously, but green and white just naturally have a lot of allies. He says there's like one ally, or there's two. There's two, and they're both fine. These will probably both come back around. I mean, likely to come back around. So Earth King's Lieutenant, strong pick here. The allies deck is pretty strong. I would probably, out of this pack, take Earth King's Lieutenant. It's got the most going on for it. Now there's a couple other things. So Watery Grasp is fine. Of note, we've had a number of these do not untap sort of things. Note that this one does not tap the creature when it comes into play. It just makes it so it doesn't untap. And then it does have the Waterbend 5, but it shuffles it back into your library. It could show up again. So Watery Grasp, not as good as these have been, but it's certainly serviceable. It's not first pickable, I don't think. Here I would look at Earth King's Lieutenant. Air Nomad Legacy is fairly strong. It gives you a clue to help with waterbending. It makes your flyers. But I think it's harder to build around than Earth King's Lieutenant. Earth King's Lieutenant is a bit more natural. Green-white just likes to have allies. If you don't want to go into two colors, you could take Boomy's Bash or Abandoned Enchantment Attachments. I really like blue in this format. I really like the blue-red Lessons deck. This lets you have some flexibility where you end up. It's going to get played, and basically any deck that can cast it, which is a number because of the hybrid mana. So it's fairly strong. And then this Boomy Bash it's just a solid removal spell. It's fine. I would probably take Earth King's Lieutenant, but if you went one of these other directions, I wouldn't hold it against you. Yeah, Abandoned Attachments is a solid pick one. It's flexible, adds to your lesson count, does a lot of things that aren't apparent at first. Going back, yeah, Clarion Conquer is a great one to stop lands from doing anything. I've got Clarion Conquers in the sideboard of basically any deck that is white at the moment, and it can just shut some decks down completely. I'm going the wrong direction. Start back this way. Dialing. This card right here, Forecasting Fortune Teller, is so much better than it looks. I mean, it already looks pretty solid, but creating the clue token, you can airbend it to get more clue tokens. The clue tokens help a lot with water bending. I saw LSV do a top commons. Oh, we got a Captain Sisse. All right, cool. Top commons list, and this was listed as the top blue common, and I would have to agree. Okay. All right, so we're gonna have a pretty obvious pick here, the Legend of Kyoshi. You know, this one, its fail rate is you don't have a creature in play, or you're already being overrun, but if you do, this card is real tough to beat. Yeah. So Legend of Kyoshi, very strong, probably your pick here. If that were out of the way, so then what we're looking at is, I don't think Captain Sisay is a viable draft card. There are obviously some legends that you'd want to search up, but it's a 4-mana 2/2. It's probably not where you want to be. Honest Work is pretty strong removal. Forecasting Fortune Teller, like I said, is probably the best blue common. After that, I mean, Kyoshi Warriors is pretty solid, but I generally go for the cheaper card. And you could go with Ruinous Waterbending. -2/-2 is significant. There are formats where the -2/-2 is devastating. There are formats where it is not that relevant. I mean, if you look even at just this pack, like it doesn't kill that, it doesn't kill that, kills that, kills that, doesn't kill that, kills that, but when that dies you get to Earthbend. So Ruinous Waterbending is fine. It's not a slam dunk uncommon, but I could also see taking that early. I am a bit of a, like I said, I really like blue in this format. I would probably take one of these. Leaning towards Honest Work because I feel like you can get Forecasting Fortune Tellers in, you know, I don't want to play, I would probably play every Forecasting Fortune Teller I got. Let's be honest. Where are we at? 36. I am old, thus I pick Captain Sisay. Sure. Can't fault you for that. Cannot fault you for that. All right. Let's go through here. Make sure I'm staying in frame. Got some Rebellious Captive, Fire Nation Raider, Callous Inspector, Lost Days. This looks like a generic sort of 5-mana removal spell, but it's actually much better than it looks. It makes a clue token. It is a lesson. It's an instant. I actually like that a lot. Like that card a lot. Got War Balloon, White Lotus Hideout, Master Piandao, Suki, Courageous Recruiter, Firebending Lesson, Serpent's Pass. All right, so the Suki is the best card, but it's not by as much as it looks like. So really great in an ally deck, obviously wonderful in a black-white sacrifice deck, so you might get this Poxbearers back when it comes around. Master Piandao, 4/4 first strike in this format is massive. It is super hard to block. It gets you creatures when you attack, whether they're allies, but it's not that many equipment you're going to play, but lessons are all over the place. It's almost always going to draw you a card when it attacks, and it's going to be really good on offense and defense. I really like Master Piandao. I think Suki is better, but if someone told me that Master Piandao was actually better, I wouldn't be surprised. But I would probably take Suki here. It's cheaper, buffs your whole team. 5 is expensive, but I found that 5 mana is fine in this format. You're not getting completely run over. Firebending Lesson, obviously, like premium common for red. It's a lesson. If you want to play the lessons deck, like that's where to go. Uncle Iroh is fine. It is a 4/2. It's a little fragile in combat, but I do like playing them in lesson decks. So like these, you'd be probably taking one of these two and then hoping that Pretending Poxbearers came back. Yeah. You could take Suki, you know, you've got Callous Inspector here is another thing for black-white sacrifice that could come back. But I mean, Suki doesn't have to go in a sacrifice deck. It can just go in a white deck that makes creatures and wants them to get +1/+0. And sometimes you get tokens. All right, let's do another one of these. All right, chat, your call. We got 20 minutes left. Do we want to keep looking at draft archetypes, or I've got another collector booster box I can crack. I'll do whatever gets the most votes here. All right, we'll get through this. Asian Tactics, Solstice Revelations, Wolfbat. Oh, there's our Badgermole boy. And a foil Day of Black Sun. Day of Black Sun. There's no the in there. That's where I was going wrong. All right. So in this one, I think the pick is Day of Black Sun. Sweepers are always rare in formats. There are not many sweepers in this format. Avatar's Wrath doesn't really count because they just get airbent. Destined Confrontation, I think is the word. The uncommon one is actually not very good, unfortunately. So Day of Black Sun is really going to take a lot of people by surprise. And hey, it's foil, so yeah. Badgermole Cub, obviously very strong. Less strong in draft. It only earthbends 1. You don't have as many mana creatures, he says, in a pack with another mana creature. So I would absolutely, if Day of Black Sun wasn't here, I would absolutely take Badgermole Cub. You know, you're going to be able to pick up a lot of other earthbending. You might be able to do a bunch of rampy stuff, which is very cool. But I would take Day of the Black Sun, followed by Badgermole Cub. After that, cards that interest me in this pack. So Razor Rings is, again, pretty strong removal. It can hit attacking or blocking creatures. Of note is the Airbender's Reversal can only hit attacking creatures. Just one difference to keep in mind if your opponent has up 2 mana, one of them white. Raucous Audience, again, it's pretty good ramp. Forecasting Fortune Teller, again, I'll take as many of those as I can get. Hama the Bloodbender is funny because it can, it puts the card back in their graveyard. It doesn't exile it. So I had one game that I lost with my opponent playing Hama, and I had, the Airbending Lesson that was just like airbend a permanent and draw a card. And they just did that to Hama over and over and over again and just milled me out because Hama mills every time it comes into play. So something to keep in mind. Solstice Revelations, I played it in lesson decks. It's fine. I don't know that I would play it if I didn't need a certain threshold of lessons. But, all right, put this over here. All right, what do we have? We got Draft a Collector Booster. I love me some drafting. There's not been any questions about that. We're gonna do, we got 18 minutes left. I'm gonna keep, nah, you know what? I gotta do some Collector Boosters. All right, Draft a Collector Booster, sure. So there's, on the Monster Hunter announcement, we made that announcement, God, time is a construct. Before the break, before Thanksgiving, there's nothing more to say. Everything is in that article. Nobody at the LGS is passing a Cub. Disagree. I was one of those tryhards back then who would absolutely make Airbending Lesson. Ah, that's the card I was trying to think of. Tryhard's not fair. I liked winning. There it is. Boomerang Basics. Love that card. I'm in my Boomerang Basics era. But Day of the Black Sun, I would take it to try to win a draft. But you know what? I also wouldn't fault anyone for taking. Cub's also just a really strong card. Iroh Grand Lotus. We should talk about this card because this is, I will absolutely 1000% build around that in draft. First of all, giving your lessons flashback 1. But there are people trying this out in standard as well. It can be strong. I haven't seen a build yet that has impressed me. But someone out there might crack it. It is a very powerful card. Giving any number, like flashback 1 is crazy strong. Will Goif 2.0. History lessons. All right, well, going backwards. Spoiler alert. All right. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That heartless lesson. Just cruel. 2, 3. Got a land, island, sweet. Waterbender Ascension. I want that card to be good too. I don't think it's quite standard playable, but could be commander playable. Ran and Shaw, field notes. Yeah, this card I have made so many copies. Card's great. Brought back. And then we got another Aang Swift Savior. This is probably my favorite card from this set. This is also gorgeous. I hope to see a foil standstill in this box. We saw a regular standstill in the last one. It would be, if you have the ability to summon forth a foil standstill specifically in this box, that is impressive. All right. Turtle Duck. Turtle Duck. 3, 1. I love Guitar Bending Prodigy in draft as well. It's in my current deck, and it's how I won my one and only game I've played with that deck. Badger Mole Cub. I'm going to put that over with the other Badger Mole Cub. Nyla. Baboon Spirit. Another Sisay. And Tylee, G-Blocker. I have the Great Henge in my current Arena draft deck. Yeah, that's a good one too. All right, 1, 2, 3, 1. Azul on the Hunt is, you get a chance to draft that card, do it. Card is strong. Purple Pentapus, great name. Here's an Avatar's Wrath. Yeah, that one's going over here with that. Chong and Lily Nomads. We got Humble Defector and Obsessive Pursuit and Booster Fun. Making a clue token every turn, really fun. I played against that card in Standard as well, and it was strong. I think my opponent misplayed on it a couple times. Like there was one turn they had enough stuff to sacrifice to activate the lifelink ability, and they didn't. Hey, Brainstorm, nice. Foil Brainstorm, that's great. And I think that probably cost them another Firelord Azula, Avatar Roku Firebender. That's a cool one. Soka just keeps coming back. All right, Tarnished Citadel. Toph, the first. Avatar's Wrath, Dranith, Magistrate. Jeez. And cool. All right. Let's keep going. Avatar's Wrath, Dranith, Magistrate. That's just mean. Just cruel. And awesome. It is awesome and cruel. Meteor Sword, Dragon Moose, Sledding Otter Penguin, Bolt Bend. We got a Forest, Tylee G-Blocker, Bison Whistle, more Aang Swift Savior. Sweet, I gotta make an Aang Swift Savior pile over here. Mirrorwing Dragon. That art's awesome. Ooh, Field Notes Badger Mole Cub. Look at that. Field Notes Badger Mole Cub. Get in there. All right. Just all the Cubs. Yeah, I mean, you want to see all the Cubs. We got all the Cubs. Cubs on Cubs on Cubs on Cubs. Yeah. Cubs on Cubs on Cubs on Cubs. All right, let's see what we got in here. More cups? Cups? It'll quench you. I think that's like the... No, I don't think it's the first It'll quench you. I was going to say we got more cubs than we have It'll quenches, but I don't know that that's true. Just feels like it. Jasmine Dragon Tea Shop. The Blue Spirit. Master's Guidance. What do we got here? We got Zuko Redeemed. And the Machinist. Alright, we got 10 minutes left. New deck. Oops, all Cubs. I mean, there's a number of standard decks that are oops, all Cubs. Pairing it with Ouroboros. It's the thing to do. Fire Nation attacks. I got a Hakoda in a draft once and went all in on allies, and it was just insane. I had the, the blue-white-green Aang. I was able to flip it by just sacrificing this because I wanted to. Bloodbender's Rise. And Firebender Ascension. I've seen that in standard. This one's gorgeous here. We're gonna hold that up a little bit. I've seen this one a little bit in standard too. There are a number of red, especially, and red and white creatures that have attacks triggers that have made their way into the battlefield with that card. What's the point of today's episode? The point of today's episode, first of all, we had a plan, and unfortunately Ken Troop was not able to be here last minute, and so we had to pivot. 2, I had to cancel the previous opening episode back on November 19th, unfortunately. And so this is us pivoting because we weren't able to do the show that we had planned, and then this is fun. It's December, and in December, I get to do what I want. Which brings us again to next week's show, where we are going to be showing off Marvel Superheroes cards. Marvel Superheroes Prologue, and I even convinced people to let me do it down at the Command Zone Studios in LA. Lifelong Friendship. That's a great Ladmer's call, and we've got Soka, Tenacious Tactician. I had another draft deck where I had 2 of these, and it was as insane as that sounds. Bear. Next week, yes. Next week, we are going to talk Marvel Superheroes. It is a bit early, but that is going to be the show because it's December, and I decided to give myself a holiday present. All right, for those wondering about the Lessons deck, so Accumulate Wisdom is kind of the big payoff, besides Uncle Iroh. If you get to draw 3 cards at instant speed for 2 mana, it's kind of great. So, yeah, we'll see. I've seen this in Standard. I don't know that anyone's quite cracked it yet, but there's some strong-looking lists out there. Yeah. Foil stand still is looking grim, chat. Sorry. We're almost there. Nope. Non-foil Ferber. And Field Notes Unagi of Kyoshi Island. All right, we got 2 packs left, and we're going to call that a stream. When are we expected to have more Lorwyn set information? You know what we'll do is we'll throw the timeline graphic back up on the screen as soon as I'm done with this. And we'll talk about upcoming dates and exciting, cool things we are doing to get more information. Tiger Seal. That card's seeing also some standard play in some blue-red decks. Sort of the spiritual successors to the blue-red decks that were pre-BNR. This is the Tale of Soka Bold Boomeranger. All right. Let's see. All right, last one. Will it be a foil standstill? Unlikely, but you know what? Okay. Lands. We got a Katara the Fearless. Had that one in draft. Also absurd. Storm of Memories. All right, we got Fire Lord Zuko in the non-foil. We're going to put that one down. We're going to come back to the definitely a foil standstill. Yue the Moon Spirit. That booster fun. All right. Foil standstill. Oh, it's a foil. It is not foil standstill. It is the Machinist Tactical Tinkerer making Zeppelins. All right. Close. All right, before we go, let's put the timeline graphic back up on the screen if we are able to. Perfect. All right, so this weekend, reminder, tune into twitch.tv/magic for the Magic the Gathering World Championship. You're going to see a lot of Avatar: The Last Airbender there, because not only is it going to be the draft format, but it's all over standard. So a lot of the cards that we took a look at today, you will see on the broadcast this weekend. Then next week on Tuesday, same weekly MTG time, same weekly MTG channel, different studio, because we are going to be in the Command Zone studios with Rachel Weeks and a special guest to be named soon, hopefully. And we're going to be showing off cards from Marvel Superheroes because, again, it's December. I'm giving myself a holiday present. I get to do weekly MTG. I get to work on the preview plans. I kind of decided, you know what I want to do? I want to show off some of these sweet cards so that I can talk about them because I'm a huge Marvel fan. I've been reading the comics for more than pre-MCU. I'm old. I don't want to date myself too much. But I'm incredibly excited for this set. And so I figured we'd show off some cards and talk about how sweet they are. And that's going to be the last weekly MTG show. And then for those asking, when are we going to get more Lorwyn information? So in terms of cards, the Lorwyn Eclipse debut is January 5th. So that'll be the Monday after we Wizards come back from our holiday break. But as someone noted in chat, the story is going to kick off earlier than that in December on dailymtg.com. So if you're interested in the lore and the story behind Lorwyn Eclipse, you're going to get that in December. Cards are going to start showing up on January 5th. If you missed the first look, we do have a card image gallery for Lorwyn Eclipse already. Has a bunch of cool stuff that we showed off at the last Magic Con. Then we're going to go into the pre-release, the Lorwyn Eclipse global release, and Pro Tour Richmond, January 30th through February 1st. All right, love it. I'm fully in for Lorwyn 2. That's been the show this week. We will see you next week from the Command Zone studios. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you then.